Do you know what? You just get days when your technology goes a little bit awry and your countdown clock won't count down properly. So you just got to hope for the best. And that's what we do. And that way we'll get through anything that we have. Anyway, enough of my problems today. Welcome to Open for Business. This is the show that we started back at the beginning of lockdown, when we were asking business owners to come on, be interviewed, tell us whether you're still open for business, what you were doing, were you having to pivot, were you having to do something different, coming online maybe. And the show has just grown on multiple different channels now, mainly on YouTube and on Facebook. And today actually we're onto my personal profile on Facebook as well, just to change it around a smidge. Also, we've got it on blogs as well. So if you are watching, if you do have any questions, pop them in the comments. That's always good to see you in the comments. So today, like every other day, I interview a business owner, someone that can give us some great advice and some great tips. And today is no different. I've got Aleem Gulamhusein on today. He is, he helps network marketers to tap into their potential and really radically change their sales results. And to him, energy is the key. So, Aleem, we have got lots of things that we can talk to you about. Looking forward to hearing your story. Aleem, welcome to the show. We have these little hiccups from time to time.
We do.
Welcome. And so, do tell us, how did you get started as a coach or in your business?
Yeah, great question. With regards to coaching full time, pretty much 2017. I was teaching at the time, so fitness tutor, teaching a 16 to 19-year-old become fitness instructors, personal trainers, sports massage, kettlebells, all of that stuff, all the fitness side. That's kind of my background since 2007. So for me, the big thing was when I got to a point where work was like, I can't do this anymore. Like most people, I think. And then that's when I went into my business. I was working with a coach at the time. And how I got into the networking space was I delivered the mindset piece in a 21-day network marketers mindset program.
Okay.
And from that, I found that network marketers were like everyday people, but they just had to face their challenges more so because they had to get themselves out there. The general things in business, right? Lead generation, connecting with people, finding a problem that solves what their problem solves in the marketplace and their business solves. And they had to do it in a way where they could not feel fearful because they would repel people. So that was my early stage of getting into it. Was purely on the mindset side. Then as you go through the process, you find out what language really works to attract people rather than repel people.
Okay, that's interesting. And so, like I say, so it's very similar to any business. You're right. When you take that decision to go work for yourself or set up your own business, you have got a whole ton of skill sets that you suddenly realize you might not have had, or they might not be as polished as you wanted them first of all. So how do you go about finding out what these are first of all? How these are, so you can be better?
So the major skill set, there's many in network marketing and any business. Sales, marketing, the ability for them to communicate their idea. Now in the networking space, they have something called attraction marketing, which is building up know, like, and trust with their audience. When they've done that, now they're in, you could say, the messenger box. And now what do they do next? You've got to have a conversation like anywhere. Now, some people might move that conversation to a phone, to Zoom, and others will just hold the conversation there, find out about the person, what's working, what's not working, and if that's something they're open to changing, if they've got something that's not working. And that's what in networking they would call an invite. In sales language, they would call that a pitch.
Mm-hmm.
And from there, it's just the next natural step, which is sales, which is just moving people to next steps, which is going to solve their problem. But they have to do that from a place of being energetically aligned. So they have a good energy about it. It's not about fake energy. It's enthusiasm, which is the God within. So the ability to express themselves authentically, have a conversation, and recommend a solution. That's it. That's how I see it. Yeah.
So okay, that's interesting. And you've made it sound very simple, but why do people just make it so difficult?
There's a few reasons. So the mindset stuff is the fear of rejection, which is the fear of no, which from a mindset perspective is the fear of the loss of love, which is one of our human needs.
Mm-hmm.
Otherwise, we wouldn't take the no personally. Fear of judgment, getting people out there. Now, most people that enter the networking space are introverted. And unfortunately, they're learning from people at times who are very extroverted. So what they share doesn't work for them.
Yeah.
Because they do take things personally. And like any skill set, you've got to learn it to find what works for you.
So why do you think that network marketing is such a big pull for introverted business owners, shall we say?
Yeah, it's interesting. I would mainly say how they frame it. You've got the personal development side, which probably attracts them.
Mm-hmm.
Then you have what they would say options types of people, the people that want many options. Once they've found those people, they think, they go, I can't work anymore because maybe they've had some medical reasons. Maybe it's working at home with kids. Let's be honest, the network marketing message is mainly geared towards female. Not always, but mostly mums.
Okay.
Yeah. So if you look into a bit of the history of where it was created, say in the US, there's a lot of focus around the Mormon church, which is all around mothers doing the best for their kids. That's why I think it tends to attract more females. Not only females, but 80, maybe 90% potentially as high as that.
Wow. I didn't know that. So so originated from the States, I guess it has changed massively over the years, because I guess, from my generation would have remembered, who was it? Amway would have been the big network marketer back in those days. And of course, now it's all changed. It's online. And I now see a whole host of different companies running this model. Actually, I was going to say, it was the other big one back in the day, Herbalife as well.
Yeah.
Of course, they've now transitioned a lot online as well. So can I just go back a little stage, because I should have caught this earlier on. So you were doing your coaching in schools. So where did you first learn about coaching from your own?
Yeah, good question. I was teaching in school, so I was a fitness tutor there. But the role of that is you're drawing out resources from people. So that's what real teaching is. It's not learning of stuff, unfortunately. It's still pushed a lot. It's about drawing out resources that people don't believe is available. So it's coaching.
Ah,
That's how I see it. And on the coaching side, I would say sort of 2000, well, about 17, I started reading all the books from Bruce Lee, and I started doing some martial arts. It was all the personal development side. And then probably 2011 is when I first sort of started looking into the coaching side. When I was doing my NLP practitioner course, 2011. Wow, feels like a long time ago now.
I was going to say you don't look old enough, but yeah, go on.
But yeah, that's how I naturally was drawn to the mindset. I realized with myself being dyslexic, when I was helping other students that were dyslexic, that if their self-belief was there and we could turn the complicated to simple, so it's in small enough chunks that they could take it in,
Yeah.
they could apply it. And that's how I like my coaching side practically. And that's why I always mention next step, because that's the only one we can only focus on anyway.
Just one step at a time.
Yeah, I think so. It simplifies stuff. You've got the big picture, of course.
Mhm.
Say, for example, in business, you've got 12 months. You could go 3 years, 5 years into the future. Then obviously you've got your quarters, your months. Maybe you break it down to 2 weeks and 1 week. Then obviously daily, what's going to create the result at the end of things, so you can chunk down. But sometimes it's when someone's having a conversation, for example, in Messenger, if they make, it's that old thing about, trying to think of that old book, How to Win Friends and Influence People. Very old school book, but very, very good. Very fundamental, actually. The ability, when you value someone, you listen to them, you ask questions because you actually do care, then it's easier for people to build that know, like, trust, because they can feel that you don't have your own agenda.
Yeah.
Your agenda is there in that conversation, and that allows them to go, if it's right for them, they go ahead. If not, that's in sales what they would say is an objection, which is basically resistance, and you just work with it and see if there's a way that they can move. Because no one wants to have objections handled, really. They just want to get a better life, better results.
And also sometimes I think people misunderstand objections for just being told no, because actually objections are more like it's peeling an onion. So, it's just helping people understand what it is that you've got to offer, and then understand how it will benefit them after they've experienced it, as opposed to during or before. So what would working with you look like? You target? Do you specifically target network marketers as your core business these days? As your core?
Yeah, pretty much. I've been in that space for several years. I think after a while, you build connections with people, delivered training in a fair number of companies, probably about 13 or 14 different companies. You give them like a taste of what you do and what's possible.
Yeah.
And then you have sort of programs that actually solve the problems that they have. So it could be one-to-many or one-to-one. So example might be, I did a mindset and sales boot camp beginning of the month, and it just got people to, one, see things differently, have those conversations more regularly because they're more in front of the people they can help.
Yeah.
And two, if they did receive what we would say as an objection, is ask quality questions. And those people it was right for, they moved ahead. And those people it wasn't, they didn't.
Okay. And for the people that they don't go and pressure them or anything like that. Because I remember, I think we've all experienced it. It was a high pressure.
That's what I like to teach differently, because the old school sales approach, which is still taught in the networking space as well, was eliminating objections. So you funnel someone into a certain place so they couldn't say no anymore. and they had to say yes. The problem is they're not going to refer you. 2, they'll probably do nothing in the business. And 3, if they make their potential people feel the same way, it's not going to work. So that's why that approach doesn't work long term. So people got to work X amount of hours longer because they don't build referrals, because no one wants to refer themselves. Like, oh, you should do the same as me because I felt like I was pushed in the corner and forced to say yes. It's the yes trap, isn't it? Yes, we have a yes set and it builds momentum, but if there's a yes trap, then they feel hard done by, and that's when the reputation of the company, the industry goes down.
Yeah, but I mean, reputational damage for some must be a constant nightmare, I'd have thought, because I think we've all seen it. You know, you potentially get a team of psychopaths because you're teaching that same thing, and it's a bit like the double glazing industry, certainly a few years ago, which was worm your way in and just don't leave until you bought something.
Because you want people to see us as, in any industry, as a welcome guest, not a pest. Get rid of it.
Yeah, absolutely. So do you work with the actual organisations and the individual? So you might do a bit of training for a company, and then
what tends to happen is, say, I might connect with a leader in one of the companies. So they'll have their team. The teams can range from either 700, 1,500 types of teams I've delivered. So you might have some you might have doing live 10, 20, 30, 40 people on the live. And then from there, you deliver to the teams. Like with most things, word of mouth is really powerful. Social media's new word of mouth. So you ask people if they've enjoyed it, got value from the training, feel free to share it online. So it builds your influence, your sphere of influence, the people you connect with. So that's one way. And the other way is people are connected on your posts, your lives. You just have a conversation and find out where they're at and what's next for them. What's their outcomes they want to achieve? How's it going? What would they like to work better that's not currently working as well? And then that's the gap. When you find the gap, that's where you will provide a solution or the recommendation, you're earning the right to recommend, rather than pushing into a corner.
For sure. And so for the coaching you provide, so you're teaching them how to do that in a more effective way.
Yeah.
So as an example, can I ask? So I'm guessing one of the biggest issues people have is that fear of rejection, having to actually ask either for a referral or just have that business conversation. You've gone nice and fluffy up to a certain point. So how would you get someone over that and actually accepting that, do you know what? If people say no to you, it really doesn't matter. You're not going to die. Yeah.
Good question, actually. So there's several levels I address it. Obviously, when they're having the conversation, knowing what to say and how to say it is important. The congruency with regards to the not having the fear of rejection, for example, is a few levels. So if it's one-to-one, I'm working with someone, it's from the NLP training, it's basically removing the blocks of the unconscious mind, so they're more energetically aligned, sold on themselves, sold on what they do, sold on what their product or business does, and most importantly, sold on the results for the other person, what it can do for them. The thing with failure is an interesting one, because fear of rejection, fear of failures, that sort of stuff. Nobody can actually reject us except ourselves, because we've given it a meaning from the response. Now, the only reason why that's triggered in us is because we've had an experience in the past which are unconsciously the disowned parts inside of us have been projected into our business, and now we have to deal with it in the business context. So it's a little bit deeper than there's no such thing as failure, just feedback, which it kind of is. If you think of it this way, everything you do will get a response. It's feedback. It's only failure if we decide it. And the biggest thing for most people is they don't say, I have failed. They say, I am a failure, which is identity. But it's on the behavioral level, they didn't get the result they wanted. Maybe they failed to get the result they wanted. But they are not a failure. That's an identity they've taken on. Now, if they're in business, every time they get a no, I'm a failure, they're not going to last too long in business, unfortunately, if they resolve it. It's a very painful way of doing it.
That is so true. I remember one of my teachers said that nothing has any meaning apart from what you give it, and that was a real eye opener. So exactly, nothing. If you choose to give it meaning, then that's your choice. But it took me a long time to work it out and be comfortable with that, because of our default growing up training, I guess.
Yeah. And it's one of those things, isn't it? If we're, again, depends on how we grow up and stuff, but if we're one of those people that, and most people are, this is good, this is bad. You're a good person, you're a bad person. Don't speak to strangers. Not very effective in business. But that's the lesson we were taught. So it's kind of unlearning. A lot of the times it's unlearning what we've learned, because it doesn't really serve us anymore. It did then. And it maybe kept us safe then. But if you're in business, I don't know about you, but especially this year, if we're drawing back into safety alone, contracting, that's the most dangerous place to be at the moment.
It is.
It's a shame, but it is.
It is. Actually, you make a very good point there, Aleem. And I think that's a danger for a lot of people this year, is that they've gone back into themselves, because it's been a tough marketplace looking for jobs, and it's like, well, they're getting fewer and further between as well. So actually now is the time, and we've spoken about this on this show before, there has never been a better time to actually go out and do it yourself. Get online, and I think we have got so much technology. Someone said to me the other day, your smartphone isn't very smart if you're not making money with it. So, and I believe, and I do believe we've had a few franchisors on the show, but and this is the network marketing model is very similar, I think, effectively. And I believe, from what I've heard, there are some excellent trainers out there, not least ones that I'm talking to. So what have you seen a big difference this year in how people's minds have changed, or more coming into the industry?
A lot of people are frozen in fear, and because that's the way it is, if you're thinking from a sales perspective, back in the day, Grant Cardone used to have, it's not a deadly virus objection. You can't use that. Because you can't. So the things are that the reasons that people have are very valid, because they're affecting so many people globally. But we can't have the reason and the result. And that's the thing. And if people are in the same place 6 months, a year from now, I don't think they can afford to do that. And I think they know that, but they're avoiding seeing that picture.
And so, do you think? Well, I think I've seen it with people, particularly certain people who've been furloughed. So they've had a job, they've been okay. There's no real pain just yet, but I think it'll be interesting, those that have actually taken that opportunity to do something a bit different, maybe something on the side as well, or actually just take the plunge and do it for themselves, and those others that have enjoyed their time but now have a very rocky future.
Yeah, it's one of those things. Most people don't change unless they feel uncomfortable. Now, if they felt super comfortable, um, they won't change. That's inertia, right? It's stuck in inertia. The better the devil they know. And unless they, and one of the things I like to teach is the language side. Unless you can take someone to the place where they feel a little bit uncomfortable, they're probably not going to change. Because most of us are wired to solve problems, not to look for benefits. And this is a compelling vision for the future. Most people are not wired that way. And I think that sometimes, especially in the personal development space, everyone says focus on positive thinking. You want to think of balanced thinking because there is an upside, there is a downside. That's objective thinking. It makes sense. So, for example, something that yourself does and a few others I know, like in marketing and sales, when they separated it years ago, they were actually together. One creates lead generation or people you can help in the marketplace. If you don't have the people that you can help, then you have a service that doesn't solve a problem for them anymore. So you haven't got the people in front of them. So it's a similar thing that there's an upside and a downside to this market. And I've seen people in the fitness space, which I've been in as well, going and pivoting online. And
Oh,
there's no travel costs to the venues, there's no room hire. They get to do it over technology. Obviously, they would ideally want to be with people in person, but they've done well. They've created different areas of their value ladder to help people. It might be something like a 21 day, 28 day. Got one of my friends who's in the fitness space. It could be something like a 90 day, it could be a year, where it's like a membership option. And people have grown their businesses. And I think with every perception of a downside, there's always an equal blessing, an opportunity. And I think business owners with that sort of entrepreneurial mindset, which is what can I do next? What's possible? It's almost a level of all the evidence says that this isn't possible. They look to find a way that it is. They're looking at possibility rather than impossibility. And some of them have to pivot completely industries that they were in. We're very resourceful as human beings. The biggest challenge is we never really tap into it until the chips are down and we've got to pull something out of the bag.
Yeah, that's the biggest motivator. Yeah, is the sudden realization you've got nothing in your fridge. But at which point it might be a little bit too late. Yeah. So another question I always like to ask is: Are you currently open to receiving new clients?
Yeah, of course. For me, sort of towards the back end of this year, there's something I'm doing which is in a group format, 6 weeks, and there's 3 types of people it tends to attract.
Okay.
So the early people in business, getting the confidence to speak with people so they don't feel that they're pushy and sleazy. The second type of person who's creating sales already, but doesn't want to feel like they're pushy, but is open to sort of increasing their level of sales, impacting more people, creating a better lifestyle and income for others as well. And the third sort of person, they're making the sales, their team is growing, but they realize, especially in network marketing, you've got to build the team as well as the sales side. There's commissions on obviously the sales side, and there's also greater leverage with building a team. Yeah. So how do they do that? Because some people go, I'm just a seller. Others go, I can build a team, but both are selling. One's selling on the benefits of a product and the result it does for someone else, and one's on the mission and vision of what someone wants to create lifestyle for themselves and their family. They're both sales. So they block themselves. They don't need to. Yeah.
Yeah, it's interesting because I'm thinking you want a nice combination on a network of those that are keen sellers and those that are keen network builders, and you're going to get. I'm guessing you're going to get a few along the way in different in different guises on that, in different parts of that network. So because not everyone is going to be the same, and people do tend to play to their strengths, understandably. So that's interesting. And so when are these opportunities to come and work?
This one's actually starting on Thursday. So this Thursday, this one's starting.
This week?
So, yeah, this week,
Oh,
Thursday,
cool.
26th. Yeah.
26th. All right.
That'd be good.
Brilliant. Well, what we'll do, we'll put all the links to how to contact you. And you've said on your Facebook page was the best. Your messenger is always on, and to direct message you. So we'll put all the links after the show in the show notes, in the comments, and make sure that that you're absolutely contactable. So how do you see the future for yourself? So over the next 4 or 5 years, maybe.
Yeah, good question. Because I've had, you could say, a lot of changes in the last 3 to 4 months. We've been working with a lady called Denise Mortimer. So I've had a lot of shifts in the last, say, over this lockdown period, from about July on, I think, roughly. So what tends to happen is it changes your perspective of where you see yourself going massively, because you don't realize what we actually hold on to. And when that shifts, it's almost like you're looking at things through a fresh pair of eyes. So I think for me, it's going to be still in the space which I am.
Yeah.
But obviously that's just going to be growing. So the impact's going to be growing. The type of lifestyle that you help to create for others is going to be growing. Working with more people on a one-to-one basis, I feel that's my gift. That's where I create the biggest transformation with people. And then obviously getting to some of these bigger events, which gets you out there. Let's be honest, it gets you out there. Doing team training and just magnify there. And obviously, business-wise, if we're looking from a financial revenue side, that's going to be great in the process. Yeah, that's it.
Oh no, nice. That's the thing, and I think you've hit one of the real keys is just getting yourself seen. That's one of the, from a marketing perspective. When I first started my digital marketing journey, and it was a case of, surely you just build a website and make it all nice and have pay buttons here and there. But if no one knows your website is there, then obviously you're not going to sell anything at all. So it's knowing how to get eyes on your business, and that's a nice thing, particularly with our technology, because we have all this amazing technology. We can get eyes all around the world. So that's really cool. So for people that are looking to either supplement their job income or are looking to actually start their own business, have you got any real key tips and advice that you could share with them to get them on their way?
I think the first thing I would say is look where your skills and strengths are. Look at where, with those skills and strengths, you can solve problems in the marketplace, and care enough to share. So when I talk about caring, is if we're too careful, we stick people on a pedestal. If we're being careless, we minimize them. But if we're being caring, we connect with their value. So it's probably like the book where you create your minimal viable product. So you find a solution that you put out in the marketplace. I'm looking to create X to help people who are going through Y. If I was to do this, I'm going to do a beta test. It's going to be at this price point, which is at 50% off, 40% off. Looking for first people to try that out. Is that something you'll be open to? And then it's basically just get yourself out. I think the challenge is a lot of people focus on stuff that doesn't bring in revenue and doesn't get their services straight out. Mm-hmm. So in other words, be monkey, get yourself out there, rather than going, I need the perfect logo. I need the perfect brand. Now, it does help. I'm not going to say it doesn't help. It does help. But you can evolve that with your brand. Especially in the early days, if you're a sole trader, Just get yourself out there, solve people's problems. If you're in coaching, get yourself on the call with people, get an experience, get testimonials, and then start charging for services, or charge little at the beginning. You know what I mean? Start small and build up. There's no point in waiting, because who knows how long this economy will be the way it is. And if we think of it this way, the economy, all it really is you have buyers and you have sellers.
Yeah.
Solve a problem, you'll attract buyers. And you've obviously got to find means of doing it organically or paid to get your message out. Obviously, if you're doing organically, you've got to network a lot more. And with paid, you've got some more leverage there. Just have a bit of income that you can put into it and test it out. Because the only guarantee in life is nothing's going to work the first time. Sometimes it does, but the vast majority it's not going to, and that's fine. Learn
Yeah.
that and think back. Yeah.
Yes, because I think if you have that knowledge to begin with, that because I've seen a lot of people who've had just the most amazing ideas, and have then been really scared about talking about them because they think someone's going to steal them. And it's like, trust me, it's like no one's going to steal your ideas. It's only you that thinks it's that brilliant, particularly when you're first starting off. But no, that was some great advice. And as I say, we'll make sure all the links are in. So you've got your new program starting on Thursday. Got time flies when I'm interviewing people. So Aleem, have you got any final words of wisdom you can share with us before I close the show?
Yeah. What I would say, and what I normally say on my Facebook Lives as well at the end, which is decisions we make today, they really do create our tomorrow. You just got to ask yourself the question, what tomorrow do we want to create? Because only we know the difference it'll make.
That's some pretty powerful final thoughts right there. I love that. Aleem, hold on 2 shakes while I just close the show. And that's quite amazing. What a way to end. Well, there you go, guys. That is Aleem Gulamhusein. Yes, a great coach. If you're looking at network marketing or starting a business, then obviously do get in touch. As I said before, we'll make sure all the links are in the show notes and in the comments, and particularly if his new program is starting on Thursday. Sounds a brilliant one to jump on. That's today's show over. We are back again on Thursday, same time, same place, 2 p.m. GMT.